Okay, so picture this. A farmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's absolutely convinced he's owed 8 coins.
Right.
And he's literally yelling at a pond full of frogs. Because their croaking sounds a bit like, well, not 8 to anyone else.
Yeah, yeah. That definitely sets a certain kind of scene, doesn't it?
It really does. Sounds like the kind of day that can only get weirder. And that's exactly where we're diving in today, into a story called The Good Bargain.
And what's fascinating right from that very first disagreement is how it kicks off this whole chain reaction. Really bizarre encounters.
Totally.
And each one tells you something unexpected about, well, how we value things, how we communicate.
Or don't. Exactly. So our goal today, listener, is to basically journey alongside this farmer. Through this escalating series of weird misfortunes, we're going to unpack the key moments. He's dealing with the frogs, then dogs, a king, some, let's just say, less than trustworthy characters later on.
Right.
And just see what we can figure out about the surprising turns life takes and the farmer's, well, his unique approach to it all. Let's call it unique.
And you see that tension immediately, don't you? That gap between what he believes is happening and, well, the reality of the situation. It starts right there with the frogs.
Absolutely. So, okay, the story kicks off simply enough. The farmer sells his cow, gets 7 thalers for it. Seems like a solid deal.
Yeah, pretty standard. A straightforward exchange, value for an asset. Nothing weird yet.
But then the peace is shattered by the local frogs. They're just going for it,
The classic frog chorus.
And our farmer, in this, amazing leap of imaginative accounting, he hears 8, not 7.
8. Which immediately shows how, our own expectations or interpretations can just completely color what we perceive. The frogs are just being frogs. They don't care about his thalers.
Right, exactly. But instead of thinking, noisy frogs, he actually starts arguing with them.
He engages with the frogs.
He pulls out his 7 thalers, counts them, right there by the pond. And when they still just go, ack, 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 he throws the money into the pond.
Wow, just throws it in.
Out of sheer frustration.
What's interesting there is maybe his need for validation, even from frogs. It wasn't just the coin, maybe, but about being right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that stubbornness, that refusal to see it any other way, it leads straight to loss number 1.
A very wet loss.
Right.
And the frogs, they just keep croaking. Same old ack, 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 ack. No refunds forthcoming.
None at all.
So our first look at this good bargain, it suggests maybe sticking too hard to your own version of reality, especially when it's clearly clashing with, frog sounds. It can leave you out of pocket and maybe a bit damp.
Precisely. It really drives home how important it is to, try and understand what's actually being communicated or not communicated, rather than just projecting your own ideas onto things, especially when it's ambiguous or amphibian.
Yeah. Okay, so undeterred, or maybe he just forgot about the whole frog incident.
You never know with him.
He gets another cow and probably butchers it. He figures, okay, the meat plus the hide, that's got to be worth 2 cows.
The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well, trying to maximize the value.
Oh, optimistic maybe, but yeah. But then, wouldn't you know it, on his way somewhere with the meat, he runs into a pack of dogs.
Oh, dear.
Led by this really vocal greyhound. And they're all barking what, at his future profits.
Okay, I think I see a pattern emerging here with his interpretation skills.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah.
He assumes again, right, that their barking is like a direct request he understands.
What means we want that meat, please, in farmer dog translation.
Exactly. So he tries to make a deal with the greyhound, asks it to promise they won't eat all the meat and that it'll vouch for the others.
A verbal contract with a dog who just keeps saying what?
It makes you wonder, why does he keep doing this? Is he just fundamentally misunderstanding animals, or is it almost like a desperate need to make sense of things his way?
Could be either, or maybe both. It's hard to say.
Anyway, despite the obvious communication breakdown, he leaves the meat, tells the dogs he expects payment in 3 days.
Oh, he extends credit to the dogs.
He does, and shocker, 3 days later, no payment. The dogs, they had a feast.
Naturally.
So lesson number 2, maybe don't base your credit lines on conversations with hungry animals. Probably not a sustainable business model.
Yeah, I'd say that's safe advice. It just underlines, again, the need for actual mutual understanding in any kind of deal. Assumptions, especially, with dogs, it leads to losses. Big, meaty losses.
Right. So now our farmer, he is on another cow, basically, and all that meat. He understandably kind of loses it.
He's had a bad run.
He goes to the butcher, the one the lead dog supposedly belonged to, demanding payment.
And the butcher's reaction is probably predictable.
Yeah, the butcher thinks the whole dog ate my profits and promised to pay story is completely nuts, which, fair enough.
Absolutely. From the butcher's perspective, it sounds like a ridiculous excuse.
So the butcher chases him off with a broom.
Okay, a broom. Adds insult to injury.
So now, with apparently no other option in his mind, the farmer decides to escalate straight to the top. The king.
Wow. Okay. From frogs to dogs to the king. That's quite the trajectory for a grievance.
Talking about taking a neighborhood dispute way up the chain.
It does show his unwavering faith in getting justice somehow, even if his case is unconventional.
So he gets his audience with the king, and he lays out the whole story. The frog saying ate, the dog saying what, the butcher and his broomstick, the whole sorry saga.
And I can only imagine the king's face.
Well, this is where it gets really weird. The king's daughter, who apparently has never laughed, ever, in her whole life, she hears the farmer's tale of woe, this catalog of disasters, and she just bursts out laughing.
No way. The farmer's absurd misfortune actually breaks her silence.
Exactly. It's this pivotal moment, right?
Yeah.
This terrible luck, maybe just the sheer ridiculousness of it all, creates this totally unexpected positive outcome.
That's fascinating. It really shows how value can just pop up in the weirdest places, like the value of a good laugh, literally.
And the king is thrilled. His daughter laughed, so he offers the farmer his daughter's hand in marriage as a reward.
Okay, that's a reward. Talk about an unconventional return on investment. From lost thalers and meat to a princess.
Right. A reward based entirely on the king's values, making his daughter happy.
But knowing our farmer.
Oh, yeah. Our farmer, ever the pragmatist, or maybe just himself.
Yeah.
He refuses.
He refuses the princess.
Yep. Says his current wife is quite enough trouble, thank you very much.
Oh, my goodness. He actually said that to the king.
He did. The king, as you can imagine, is not amused, initially, rejecting the royal offspring and all that.
I bet. That's incredibly blunt, but also kind of funny in a way. It just shows his focus is entirely elsewhere.
Totally. So the king, he's angry for a second, but then he kind of pivots, offers the farmer 500 sailors instead to be paid in 3 days.
Ah, back to cash. Probably more what the farmer understands anyway.
Much more conventional. So the takeaway here, sometimes you go looking for justice for, dog-related debts. And you end up making a princess laugh and getting offered a fortune. And even refusing something big can lead to something else, maybe something better for you.
Exactly. And his honesty, however undiplomatic, somehow worked out for him in the end. It's bizarre.
Okay, so farmer leaves the castle. He's got this promise of 500 thalers coming his way in 3 days. Feeling pretty good, probably.
Finally, maybe things are looking up.
But as he's leaving, he gets stopped by a sentry. And the sentry sees him looking happy, leaving the king. Naturally assumes he got a big payout.
Ah, the opportunist appears.
Yeah.
Or one of them. Sees a smiling face, assumes there's money involved.
And wants a cut, of course.
Naturally.
So the farmer, maybe feeling generous with his future wealth, or maybe just wanted to get rid of the guy.
Either.
He gifts the sentry 200 sailors of the promised money. Tells him to collect it from the king himself in 3 days.
Okay, so he's not actually giving away money he has. He's writing a mental IOU against the king's treasury. Clever, maybe? Or just passing the buck?
A bit of both, perhaps. But then, who should be lurking nearby, overhearing this whole exchange?
I know, let me guess. Not another helpful character.
Enter the shady merchant. He hears about these hard thalers coming from the king.
And smells an opportunity.
Exactly. He sidles up and offers to exchange these future large coins for some immediate small change. Right now.
Ah, the classic bird in the hand tactic. Preying on impatience, or maybe the farmer just not getting it, offering instant but probably less value.
And the farmer. It makes you want to just... He agrees. He agrees to give the merchant 300 of his promised thalers.
300? For some pocket change now.
For some immediate cash. And the merchant, who's just delighted, I'm sure.
I bet.
Pays him in bad groschen. The dodgy coins where 3 are only worth 2 good ones.
Oh, so he gets cheated on the exchange rate, too. The hidden fee, as you said earlier. That's brutal.
Talk about a bad bargain piled on a weird bargain.
It really shows the danger of not understanding what you're trading, right? And wanting that instant gratification without checking the fine print or the quality of the groschen.
So 3 days pass. The farmer goes back to the king for his 500 thalers.
The original reward.
The king orders someone to hold the farmer's coat so they can count the money into it. But the farmer says, oh, no need. I don't have any coming to me.
Because he's already given it away.
Right. He explains he gave 200 to the sentry and 300 to the merchant. So he figures he's owed nothing.
He genuinely believes this, that he's settled his accounts.
Seems like it. And just then, wouldn't you know it, the sentry and the merchant show up, hands out, ready for their shares from the king.
Oh, perfect timing. They've come to collect directly.
And instead of sailors, they get a whipping. The king is not happy about them trying to claim the reward he gave the farmer.
Ah, so the king delivers his own form of justice. Swift and painful. Consequence for their opportunism.
And the merchant's line, after getting thrashed, are these the hardtailers? It's just perfect. Darkly funny.
It really is a painful punchline to his scheming.
The king, though, seems completely amused by this whole chaotic mess.
He seems to enjoy the entertainment value of the farmer's life.
Totally. So he tells the farmer, forget the 500, just go into the royal treasure chamber, take as much money as you want.
Wow. Okay. An open invitation to the treasury. Now that's a reward. Finally, the farmer seems set to actually, profit.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
This act of just direct payment, take what you want.
Yeah.
It shows the king's, whimsical side. But ultimately, he sees the farmer was sort of longed, or at least central to the day's amusement.
And he rewards that directly. Fair enough.
So our farmer goes into the treasure chamber, starts stuffing his pockets, his coat, everywhere.
Making the most of the opportunity.
But as he's doing it, he starts muttering to himself, like, I don't know how much this is. Am I taking too much? No. What if the king gets mad? That kind of thing.
Ah, so even with permission, there's still that anxiety, that underlying worry or maybe distrust, perhaps from his earlier bad experiences.
Yeah, maybe he just can't quite believe his good fortune is real.
Understandable, given his track record.
But guess who's lurking nearby again? Still.
Please don't say the merchant. He hasn't learned his lesson.
Oh, it's the merchant, all right. Ever vigilant, he overhears the farmer's muttering.
He sees another angle.
Yep. Twists the words completely, scurries back to the king and says the farmer was being disrespectful, saying disparaging things about the king while taking his money.
Wow. The persistence of this guy, even after the whipping, he's relentless in his opportunism. It's almost impressive in a terrible way.
It really is. The king, of course, hears disrespect. He gets angry again, orders the farmer brought back immediately.
Predictable reaction from the king.
But the farmer, maybe he's finally learned a thing or two, or maybe it's just instinct. He stalls.
How does he stall?
He says he can't possibly appear before the king again, especially in such esteemed company. Meaning the merchant, probably with sarcasm, wearing his old dusty coat. He insists he needs a new coat first.
Okay, that's interesting. A bit of strategic thinking, maybe? Using etiquette or the appearance of it to buy time or set something up?
Seems like it. And who should oh so conveniently step forward and offer a friendly loan of his own fine coat?
It has to be the merchant. It just has to be.
Bingo. Our trusty, remarkably resilient merchant offers his coat.
He just walks right into it, doesn't he? Still thinking he's being clever, setting the farmer up for his downfall.
Completely. So the farmer puts on the merchant's fine coat, goes before the king. The king demands an explanation for these supposedly disrespectful remarks, the merchant reported.
The moment of truth.
And here it is, the farmer's final, maybe accidental, maybe brilliant move. He points right at the merchant.
Okay.
And he says something like, you know what they say, Your Majesty? What a merchant says is always a lie. You can't trust a word they say.
Oh, playing on stereotypes there.
Why, that fellow there, pointing at the merchant in his fancy coat, is probably capable of claiming I'm even wearing his coat right now.
Oh, that's clever. He sets the trap.
And the merchant, outraged, immediately yells, Hey! That is my coat. He is wearing my coat.
And boom! He proves the farmer's point perfectly. By confirming he's capable of making that exact claim, he undermines his own credibility about the other claim, the disrespect one.
Exactly. The farmer uses the merchant's own coat, his own reaction, against him. Brilliant.
Whether by luck or design, that was perfectly executed.
The king finally sees it, sees the merchant's game, realizes he's been lied to again.
About time.
So not only does he let the farmer keep all the treasure he stuffed in his pockets,
Good.
but he orders more hardtailers to be paid to him right there. And the merchant gets, well, probably not another whipping, but certainly nothing good.
Justice of a sort. The farmer finally comes out definitively ahead.
And the story ends with the farmer heading home. He's got the merchant's good coat. He's got pockets full of treasure. And he thinks to himself, this time I got it right.
Which is such a great closing line because it leaves you wondering, Did he really get it right through his own skill, or was it just this cascade of absurdity, misunderstanding, and royal whim that landed him there?
Yeah, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into the good bargain,
Yeah.
what a journey, huh? Through this world of, like, financially opinionated frogs, credit defaulting dogs, a princess who finds disaster hilarious, and this merchant who just would not quit.
It's certainly not a straightforward path to success, full of misinterpretations, really questionable decisions, and just pure astonishing luck, maybe.
Definitely. And what really stands out is how many different kinds of value pop up in the story, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about the Thailors, is it? There's the social value of the marriage offer, the entertainment value for the king and princess, even the practical value of a good coat in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Which kind of makes you ask, well, which bargain actually benefited the farmer most? Was it that first sale, the king's initial cash offer, or this final kind of accidental windfall plus the coat?
Was it his own weird cunning finally kicking in? Was it just dumb luck bouncing off other people's actions, or some strange mix? It's hard to pin down.
It really is, and maybe that's the final thought for you, listener. What kinds of bargains, big or small, do you run into, and what really decides their value for you? Is it the obvious price tag, or is it sometimes these other less tangible things, like making someone laugh or just ending up with a surprisingly useful coat? Definitely some food for thought there.